Untitled Sports is a nonprofit organization where we teach people with different abilities how to climb and do all these different activities that have been offered in the mainstream, but not to someone with a different ability. Adaptive sports is a way of adapting a sport so that it allows anyone, whether they have a physical disability or not, to engage in that sport and not to be left out on the sideline to just cheer someone else on.
So that starts on the belay side by making sure that our belay is set up properly. We want to make sure that our device is loaded properly per instructions on the device, that we are locked properly, loaded properly, again, and in the event that we're using a floor anchor, that the floor anchor is oriented in a manner such that if it is weighted, say because we're leaning back into the belay, or because our side climber or participant has dragged us into a weighted position, that it doesn't cause the device to rotate in a manner that is not helpful to our belay. So I arranged the anchor on the opposite side of the brake hand so that if it's weighted and it rotates, the brake hand side comes towards me as opposed to away from me, which will force me to belay across body. When we're belaying in an adaptive scenario, our belay is super tight. I tell my volunteers generally to think piano wire tight, right? And the reason for that is twofold. All right, firstly, for participants who have a little maybe core instability or just need some assistance, keeping a super tight belay gives them a really stable platform for them to operate on. The second reason is really a comfort thing. A lot of climbers, when they first start climbing, be it adaptive climbers or anybody, you're a little scared when you're on the wall, particularly little kids that come through our clinics. So keeping a super tight belay is our way of letting them know, hey, we're here with you. We've got you. It's kind of like that little reassuring hug on the wall, like, okay, you're all safe. We're with you. Right? And belaying itself, be it in a normal gym setting or with adaptive, is a very active process. So when we're belaying, we're always kind of moving around, right? Stepping forward, taking up slack, leaning back, getting out that extra slack, extra stretch out of the rope so that our climbers can focus on just being here and working on the mechanics of climbing and not whether or not this rope is tight enough to keep them in a good position. For more involved climbers that are going to need assistance, particularly in an upward, in gaining upward momentum, we can use the belay to help take some of their weight away. Particularly with I keep going back to cerebral palsy, but that's a really common one where maybe you have a lot of spasticity in the legs or weakness in the legs, and you cannot generate as much force moving upwards, right? We can use the belay by sitting back into it to then take some of their weight away. So maybe they can't step up with 100% of their weight, but by me leading into the rope here, I can be taking maybe 30% of their body weight away, 20%. And we can vary that by how much we lean into the rope based on the needs of the climber. This cueing, the 1, 2, 3 cueing, allows us, all three of us, to work as a team. The side climber knows exactly on 3 that they're going to be pushing the participant into the wall. The participant knows at 3 that they're going to be standing up as hard as they can and creating as much force as they can. And the belayer of the participant knows that on 3 is when they're sitting back extra and creating that extra upward force to assist the participant in upward movement. So in this scenario, belay assist scenario, our belayer is outweighed by our climber, participant climber, and our participant climber needs that extra heavy belay assist, but our belayer here is just not quite heavy enough to really effectively generate a lot of force to help them. So as a third party, we can come in here, we can give her a little belay assist, and again, it's helpful to kind of count down so that we're all on the same page. So we know, like, okay, on 3, you're gonna stand up really hard, and we're gonna try to take up the rope really tight. Ready? All right, so we go 1, 2, 3, and then he stands up and she sits down and the other person actively pulls the rope in. It can get pretty tiring to do that a lot, pulling on the rope. The rope's pretty narrow. So we have a number of different ways that we can assist. We can use a prusik or some sort of friction hitch to create a handle. All right, now, if we know how to use friction hitches, that is. So we can do the same exact thing, and this gives us a nice little handle on the rope. So on 3 again, 1, 2, 3. All right, and we can pull as a team. Or if we have ascenders, we can use ascenders to grab the rope here and give a similar effect. In this scenario, we have a participant who is going to need to be guided back down into a wheelchair. All right, it's important for the side climber to pay attention to the participant and help guide them down the wall. For the belayers, it's going to be important for them to communicate with each other and match paces. Right? In a standard scenario for lowering, we're going to have a belayer for a participant and a belayer for a side climber. The side climber is going to kind of play air traffic control and coordinate at what speeds we want to lower. But the belayer for the participant is going to set the pace, and it's going to be on the belayer for the side climber to help match that pace so that the side climber is always in a position to aid the climber, the participant climber as needed. Okay. As side climbers, we want to be in a position where we can exert the most amount of force. For most people, that's kind of in a 90-degree pull angle. Right? Normally speaking, as a belayer, we want the side climber to get to the ground first, just a little bit, so that they can be comfortable in position to help guide our participant to whatever stance they need. In this scenario, it'll be a wheelchair, so we're going to move the wheelchair in, and we'll continue to lower our participant into the wheelchair, and we'll spot him the entire way. All right. All right, cool.